As-Salaam Alaikum, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rise Magazine podcast, which is an extension of Rise Magazine. And I have the newest issue right here. So once again, Rise Magazine podcast is the extension of Rise Magazine. I thank you all who came on to join in, tune in, and join us in the discussion that we're going to have today. I'm really excited. Today we're going to be hearing from a special guest from the 9 Ministries. I'll explain that more later. Once again, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Before I begin, I want to say in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Once again, I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of As-Salaam Alaikum. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, it simply means peace be unto you. And once again, so excited for everyone to hear today's episode and see what we have in store. And so before I begin, I also want to thank our CEO and founder of Rise Magazine and the Rise Magazine podcast, Student Regional Minister Abdul Muhammad. We thank him for giving us this opportunity to have this platform and really share our creativity and our thoughts. And so once again, I'm going to hold up the newest issue of Rise Magazine. This is Brother Joshua Muhammad on the front cover. You can see it on the screen. And in order to order it, you can go to www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, that's www.risemagazineco.com, which is also shown on the screen. And so for this issue, the May issue of Rise Magazine, I'm just going to give a little idea of what's in it. And so I'll show one page. I'm not going to show all the pages because you have to buy it, but I will show one page. And what's interesting is that for this issue, we have, well, for each issue of the magazine, we always promote the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we have it in different languages. So we have it in French, we have it in Spanish. This time we did it in Arabic. And so our people, they're from all over the world, speaking different languages. And our goal with Rise Magazine is to reach those people no matter where they are. And so once again, I'll show a little bit of, you can see the Arabic, and it's translations of quotes from Message to the Black Man in America. So once again, please order your copy of Rise Magazine. Okay, and we're going to get right into it. And today we have a special guest on, and her name is Sister Taylor X, and she is a part of the Ministry of Education. And she's going to be sharing some really good information with us. She's a very creative mind. She's a member of the Rise Magazine team and the Rise Magazine podcast team. I'm grateful for her and her creativity and hard work. And so, Sister Taylor, if you can just introduce yourself, let the viewers know what you do, and we'll go ahead and ask questions afterwards.
As-Salaam Alaikum.
Walaikum.
First, I would like to start off by saying, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. And again, I greet you in As-Salaam Alaikum. So I guess as an introduction, I'm Sister Taylor X. I'm a part of the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education heads are Sister Sabbath Muhammad and Sister Zakiya Muhammad. They were not able to be here today because they are actually taking part in educational events as we speak. Sister Zakiya is a teacher and is conducting field day right now with her students. And Sister Sabbath Muhammad conducts her own business in education and is very busy with that. So we want them to continue to do those things. They have done a great job in leading the charge and helping us get to our task. I am also a part of the Rise Magazine staff, and I help with some social media, newsletters, flyers, and content, and really anything Sister Aziza asked me to do. I'm here just to support. So I guess that's my introduction.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. It's a beautiful introduction. And so if you can just explain, this will be the first question. What's the importance of education just for our nation and for the Black community?
Yes, ma'am. That's a big first question, Sister Aziza. But the importance of education really is, education is everything. Everything comes back to information and education. So even Brother Ben X posted recently, and he said, you know, even if you give your children or you leave your children $600 million, if they don't know how to properly maintain that money, if they don't know how to properly continue to grow in education and learn how to monopolize and optimize that money, then they're going to lose it. And so that's really a good foundational point of why education is so important. Education is in finances, it's in your mental health, your physical health. Everything that you do has a component of information and education. And so if you're downloading the wrong content with the wrong mindset, if you're taking in education that's not good, then it's a detriment to your life. And all things that we take in is some form of education. So if you're watching a music video, you're learning the lyrics to a music video. So whether that's good music or bad music impacts your day, your life, and how you execute on day to day. So education is really the central focal point of our lives and how we operate and why we grow and how we grow and develop. Inside the Black community, I think that was the beginning of, like they say, if you don't teach, if you hide all of the information in the books, then Black people will never know the information because we don't read. And that, goes back over 400 years and so on and so forth. But that's why it's so important to educate our youth now, to educate our children, to educate everybody as much as we can. One, because there's so many different ways that you can educate people, that you can educate our people and our nation on the current events, on ways to help them come into their nature. There's so many different ways that we can do it. There's no excuse to not do it. And that's really how we're going to grow and develop as a unit and as a whole, and fulfill God's mission for us. So that's what I would say.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Sister Taylor. And before we go any further, I want to give the definition of the Ministry of Education, and this is from NOI.org. Just for anybody who's not familiar with it, it's shown here on the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and read it. So it states here, the Ministry of Education is responsible for the mental and moral development of the members of the society by means of formal instruction in a prescribed manner over a prescribed period of time, in a system of learning ranging from preschool through primary through advanced academic levels, culminating in the conferring of academic degrees under the direction of National Board of Education. In addition to academic instruction, students shall receive teaching and training in the way of righteous conduct, decency, and self-respect, with the goal of making a better nation of people. Praise be to Allah. Ministry of Education is really heavy one and something really serious that we need. Of course, we have to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for crafting this in his mind and, really knowing what the nation needs in order to progress. And so we thank him for the 9 ministries. And so to go on to the next question, Sister Taylor, it would be, how did you start with the 9 ministries and with joining the Ministry of Education? You can tell everybody what the process was.
Yes, ma'am. So I've always had a passion for education, more specifically children's education. That is probably the epitome of me. If you get to know me, like that's my favorite thing, is to teach children and watch them have these light bulb moments. And as I kind of came into the nation and began to learn more and more, I wanted to get involved. And I think I saw on Instagram, and then someone at my local mosque said that there was a 9 ministry starting up and that I should reach out to one of the sisters that I saw on Instagram. So that was kind of that exchange. I just reached out via Instagram and we exchanged phone numbers and we got together that way. And from the second I joined, they've been welcoming and absolutely incredible. And they've just been really good sisters all around. And there are a couple brothers in our ministry as well, but the sisters that I interacted with were so welcoming. It made me excited to be a part of the Ministry of Education and cultivate ideas, and to be excited to make an impact is really the biggest thing, and knowing what kind of value we bring. So that was kind of my starting point.
Praise be to Allah. And would you mind telling everyone how long you've been registered in the Nation of Islam?
As of, in 3 weeks, I will be at a full year. So my anniversary is June 6th. So a little under a year. I'm almost there.
Praise be to Allah. And you're already doing great work by Allah's grace. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question is going to be going to Rise Magazine, working on the staff, just really putting it together with education. You work on some of the graphics. You do graphics for flyers. You do the flyers. You do help with the social media. And what's really the importance of education in a publication, especially a publication like Rise Magazine, that we can have in order to educate our people. If you can speak a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to answer this in two different ways, just because I kind of feel like God put something on my heart to answer it this way. So one, I want to speak to how important following the will of Allah is. And when I joined the staff of Rise Magazine, it started as one thing, and it was just a couple flyers here and there, and it kind of developed into something else. And so the education component turned into me educating myself on how I could better execute Allah's will, because it's really easy to start initiatives, half doing, or just doing it to finish it, doing it to complete it, doing it to finish a deadline. But it's another thing to take the opportunity that Allah has given me, which it is an opportunity and a whole blessing to be able to be on the Rise Magazine staff, to take that and develop it and continue to educate myself and to learn how I can get better. Because a lot of the things that I learned in executing and making different flyers and paying attention to what was getting likes and what wasn't getting likes, what's getting attention and engagement from the people we're trying to reach, I utilize that stuff in my day-to-day. And so I guess I really want to stress to people, and I don't know who this is for, but there are things that Allah places in our life that we, with our small minds, think is minuscule. And we aren't God. We are not the creator. And so when you have a mission and you have been given a target and an opportunity, I just encourage everybody to take that by the horns and execute to the best of your ability and with full intention. So continue to educate that gift and continue to develop that gift and cultivate your mind and become more innovative, because we are little gods. So we don't need to do anything halfway. But the importance in publication, the second half of that question is, we see the turns and changes in social media right now, which again, that can go good or bad if you're paying attention to poor social media, poor publications, poor outlets, and that's what you're going to take in. If you're paying attention to all of the right things and continuing to strive and educate yourself on what's going on in the world, you're going to see nothing but blessings from that. And Rise Magazine is a blessing to everybody that takes hold of it. Everybody who has an opportunity to see it is blessed by the publication. So again, it's just the will of Allah to be able to push out all of this incredible information. It's bright, it's bold, it's beautiful, it's well put together. There's so much detail put into every single publication. So I think that that's the beauty in it, is to see a collective group come together and put something together that is so detail oriented and refined and executed on such a high level. It shows an example of what we can do. It also shows that there's more to the Black community than what, our enemy puts out there. And so that's the importance to me.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderfully said. Thank you so much for that, Sister Taylor.
Yes,
okay, now to go on to the next question is, just working on the Rise Magazine staff, what's something that you've learned, or what's something that you use just with your educational background, whatever you use in order to really put it together with your work on the team? Because what I do notice is that you're very detail oriented, which we love, of course. So if you can just explain a little bit about the importance of, once again, education as it relates to, well, you already mentioned publication, but education as it relates to, I guess, doing something with the intention of giving instruction to people, or showing people a lesson that may need to be learned, whether it's through art or through written words.
Yes, ma'am. I would say that no one person knows everything. And so when you're approaching something that you're going to put that's in a publication, it's important to take a step back and say, I may not know this, or I may not understand this, but it could be really impactful for somebody else that it reaches, or a different audience, or what have you. So when you're creating social media, when you're creating different publications or flyers or lives or whatever it might be that you're pushing out to the masses, it's important to look at how this could be impactful to everybody outside of yourself. We can get really siloed in, well, I wouldn't use this, or I would use this, or it doesn't make sense to me, or it does make sense to me. But when the picture is bigger and you're hoping to impact a community and a nation and a large audience, then it's important to take a step back and educate yourself on all of the different people you might be trying to reach. So your target audience might be an age range of 18 to 38. That's a really big age range. So to take a step back and educate yourself on what does this demographic do on the daily? How do they operate? When are they on social media? What are they currently battling, whether it be mentally or physically? What are their habits? And then to put that information into your social media or your publication to really make sure that you're getting the best value out of something is the importance in that.
Crazy, Tula. Thank you so much for that answer, Mr. Taylor. And I just want to bring up the cover of Rise Magazine, the latest issue, if we can put that on the screen. And I'm going to read a few things that are on the cover. Just for us speaking about publications, the importance of educating people, or us having a publication that, we can call our own. And so if I can get that picture put on the screen once again. Okay, so we're going to keep it up there for a little while. And I just want to explain something to everyone who's watching. So, of course, the name of the magazine is Rise Magazine. The purpose of it is really to educate our people, show them what the Black community is doing, what the Nation of Islam is doing, promoting our unity, promoting our intelligence, our creativity, all wrapped up in one. That's what Rise Magazine represents. I'll briefly read. In every issue of the magazine, we have words from the founder, and I'm going to briefly read words from our founder, Student Minister Sharrieff. And he says here, by the grace of God, my vision for Rise Magazine is to highlight Black-owned businesses, give small Black-owned businesses the opportunity to promote themselves, and highlight the work of the Nation of Islam. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, do for self or suffer the consequences. Rise Magazine is a vehicle to give Black people the opportunity to use their God-given gifts and talents and show the world their creativity. I want Rise Magazine to show the great work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan without being edited by our open enemy. And so I'll stop there, but that's one of the importance really of educating our people, giving them an opportunity to see something that's by us and for us. Another thing I want to mention is some things that are on the front cover of this May issue of Rise Magazine. The tagline is the peak of greatness. So it's Rise, the peak of greatness. And of course, as Sister Taylor had mentioned, just doing things and putting out your best when you do it. That's really what Rise Magazine also represents. Not halfway doing things, but making sure that we use the God within us and produce things that are really professionally done, really beautifully done, in order to show people the beauty of what we're trying to get through. And so another thing that's always on each issue, on each cover of the magazine is join the Nation of Islam and live. That's another thing that's put on the front cover for each issue. Another thing that's always put on the front cover is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the mouthpiece of Allah God in our midst. And so Student Minister Sharrieff instructed that that's put on each issue of the magazine on the front cover, because really what we're showing is that, even if we have businesses or we have content that we put in the magazine, we really have to remember the root of where it came from. And so the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, just with all of his knowledge and teachings that he's gotten from his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he shared it with us. And so with that, we should take those words, implement it into the work that we do. So I just wanted to mention that. What other magazine or publication do you see that really puts that out? And so it's just educating our people, and that's the importance of education. That's the importance of Rise Magazine, the Final Call newspaper, and other, publications that are put out for us and by us. And so, Taylor, the next question I have for you is, I'll go back to the May issue of the magazine. We have here, suicide is not the answer and Islam is real. That's put on the front cover of the magazine. And that's a topic that people don't necessarily want to discuss. But what do you think is the importance of, maybe just discussing difficult topics that people don't really want to hear about or not really comfortable speaking about, but that's needed to educate our people and show other people that they're not alone. And that could be any other topic. It can be, struggle. It could be domestic violence. Just what's the importance of really using creativity, whether it's through graphics or through written word, to show people, educate people that they're not alone in a situation.
So one of the first things that come to mind is the Ministry of Education has an event coming up this Saturday about Black men in education. And I think that your question goes back to, in my mind, representation. So you don't think that you can do something until you see it done. A lot of times it's really, really hard to mentally get your head around something you've never seen done. And the minister says in one of my favorite lectures, he says, and I don't mean to quote it, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't want to mess it up. But he says, it's impossible till you see it's done. Nothing is impossible through the will of Allah. And so I think that representation is what matters the most. In your question is that until I see a Black educator, I don't think I can be an educator as a Black person. Until I see, especially for young men, until they see these positive examples in everything outside of sports, like, play, until they see something like that, they don't think that it's done. And so I think that to answer your question, representation is what matters most for women, for men, in careers, in conquering battles of the mind or physical battles. Until you see somebody say you can do it too, a lot of times it's hard to wrap your head around that. Now, faith is the belief in things unseen. And so sometimes it does just take faith. But there's also faith without works is dead. And so until you see somebody accomplish what they were set on this earth to do, a lot of times you don't feel like you can do some things, which is why it's so vital for us to follow our purpose and our passions and what God has put us on this earth to do, because other people's blessings are wrapped up in us following the will of Allah. And so again, it circles back to your question of why it's important to see and give people insight into what you might be going through mentally or physically, or why it's good to set an example is because of that right there. Examples can be good and examples can be bad. If you're putting bad out there, people see bad. If you're putting good out there, people see good. If people see you accomplish your dreams following the will of Allah and you're seeing nothing but blessings from it, they want to be a part of that. And so that's why it's important to make sure that you're representing what you are meant to be doing and who you really are in your nature.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Sister Taylor. I thoroughly enjoyed your answers and, the speaking with you and what you had to share to everyone who's listening. Praise be to Allah. So as we begin to close, the last thing I'd like for you to share is how can people join the Ministry of Education? What events do you have coming up? And any other words that you'd like to share before we come to an end?
Yes, ma'am. We are always looking for people to join, brothers and sisters to join the Ministry of Education, the Southern Region Ministry of Education. We have a lot on our to-do list, a lot of things that we want to accomplish, a lot of goals, and they're all a benefit to the people around us. So why not be a part of making an impact? So if you would like to join the Ministry of Education on our mission, feel free to DM us at right here below on the screen. And then if you don't want to DM us, feel free to shoot us an email as well. And that will be coming up next. If you just want to get a little bit of an insight into what we have going on and to see how we execute, please feel free to join us on the upcoming event. And here's a take a look at the flyer. So I'm really excited about this event, Black Men in Education, the why, the impact, and the difference. So we have some amazing guests coming on to speak from different perspectives. So we have Black educators on here, brothers who were directly impacted by a Black educator, and then several brothers who are just going to come speak to why they feel like Black education itself in history is important, why Black men in education is important, and then kind of the barriers that Black educators go through in general. So I'm really excited to get that information and hear what they have to say.
Praise be to Allah. Once again, thank you so much, Sister Taylor. It was such a pleasure having you share the information that you shared and speaking to our guests. And so now we're going to have some announcements. And of course, Rise Magazine and the Rise Magazine podcast needs your support. So please donate whatever you can to our Cash App, which is $Rise Magazine. Once again, we need your support. Please send anything, any amount is appreciated, and that's on Cash App, $Rise Magazine. Another thing that we want to mention is to get the newest issue of Rise Magazine, to see any updates that are happening with the magazine, to get information about how you can advertise, please go to www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, that, and it's shown on the screen. Once again, that's www.risemagazineco.com. You can get both digital and hard copies of the magazine. As you see here, we had Sister Ava. She was on our December issue. We had Student Minister Sharrieff, and we had Sister Sharrieff, may Allah be pleased with her, along with many others. We had Student Minister Ishmael on the front cover. And so please check out our website, www.risemagazineco.com. You'll be able to see our Instagram when you go on the website. It links to the Instagram, so everything's really convenient all in one place. You can also subscribe in order to get the magazines. It has ad information and whatever else you need to find out about the publication. Another thing I want to mention is please show your support for Student Minister Sharrieff's books. He has actually 4 amazing books. We'll show 3 of them on the screen. Down is Not Out, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, and Is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan Divinely Guided and Connected to the Wheel? So please get that. It's very insightful. 3 very insightful publications if you want to hear really intimate and detailed descriptions of just the journey that Student Minister Sharrieff had with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what he has witnessed on his travels with him. It's really, really 3 good books. So please show your support, and that's www.abdulsharrieff.com. Another thing that we would like for you to support is the ARC. And the ARC is a business hub that has a variety of businesses. We have the Rise Magazine office located in the ARC, a boutique for sisters called Beloved Boutique. We have Your Fish program, which is a program as the brothers used to do back in the day, where they went door to door selling whiting fish. We have 10,000 Fearless 2, the second location of 10,000 Fearless here in the Southern region, or not the Southern region, but here in Atlanta. We have People United for Change. They go out and distribute food to the community, clothing, whatever is needed. We have the 10,000 Fearless patrol cars. So there's just so much that's featured in the ARC. So please show your support. It's all under the banner of Do for Self or Suffer the Consequences, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so, family, that's all we have for you today. Please follow us on Instagram. Please show your support. Once again, please send any donation you can on our Cash App. And may Allah bless us all. As-Salaam Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, ma'am.